Hey everybody, it's Mark again, and I don't do a lot of videos on 8-day cuckoo clocks, and so I'm going to do the video on this 8-day before the hunt Schneider and Son cuckoo clock. I got the topper and the weights and pendulum and everything for it. It's just that this clock will work and then it stops, and then it works and it stops. I think it needs a good cleaning. It might need a bushing or two. I already got the hands and the chains off, and again the topper. And so here's the movement. It shows A3481, meaning it was made in 1981. Down here it says A Schneider and Son, and we'll show you that again. I don't need to take out the bellows to take this movement out. The bellows work well. So what I need to do is first take the pendulum leader wire off, because I don't want to damage it, and then disconnect the bellows, and then take the 4 screws out of the case along with this nut to take the nighttime shut-off lever off. So let's go ahead and do that. High note bellow disconnected, the wire came off. Low note bellow disconnected. Putting a screwdriver into the pendulum leader wire where it connects, giving it a slight twist. These things are supposed to be straight, so you don't want to mess them up. This one's got a little curve in it. I'm going to have to fix it. And now I have to take the nut off for the nighttime shut-off lever to take that out. And it's going to have a little compression washer, a bent washer basically, underneath it. So you want to, well, it's supposed to. This one don't. It's supposed to have a compression washer underneath it, so you can lift that lever up and down, and it doesn't get too tight on you, and it doesn't get too loose on you. Maybe I can make one, or maybe I can find one. But now to take the movement out, take these 4 Phillips head screws out. Again, magnetic screwdrivers are great things for working on cuckoo clocks, as long as the screws are metal. Antique cuckoo clocks, screws are brass, and so this doesn't work. I've got my ultrasonic cleaner on. It's on 35 degrees Celsius, warming up. And that should be warmed up by the time I take this movement apart. Again, without taking the bellows out, I'm able to take the movement out. Set the case to the side. Now we have, I've already replaced this W and the U wire. That's what I thought it was. Of course, I replaced it with the movement inside. So while I have it out, I need to do a little bit better job of adjusting it. So again, this is an 8-day movement. You can tell it's an 8-day movement because this is the great wheel. The ratchet wheel is always the great wheel. It's always the first wheel. First wheel, second wheel, third wheel, and the escapement wheel being the 4th wheel causes it to be an 8-day movement. A 30-hour movement or a 1-day clock has only got a great wheel, a second wheel, and the escapement wheel. It only has 3 wheels. The 8-day movements have got 4 wheels. And in fact, there's an extra wheel right here, and we'll get to that when we take this thing apart. I know the function test works on this clock, but before you take a movement apart, you should always do a function test on it to make sure it all works to your satisfaction. And in this case, the Pac-Man, even though the clock stopped, the tab that's on the rack stop lever is not going into the Pac-Man's mouth all the way, so I will fix that when I put this thing back together. But first thing you want to do is take off the rack stop lever. You do that by taking off this E-clip or C-clip or whatever you want to call it. And in the 8-day movements, you can take off the rack stop lever by itself. In the 1-day movements, you have to take the snail and the rack. Sorry, this is not the rack stop lever, it's the rack. I'm going to take this E-clip off of this wheel also, along with this washer, so I can discuss what I'm trying to tell you. In a 1-day movement, you have to take the rack and the snail off at the same time frame because it's smaller, okay? And so trying to take the rack off by itself is going to hit one of these posts, or it's going to hit this wire here that holds the wire to ensure that the rack stop lever goes down. But with an 8-day movement, you can take the rack off all by itself, and then the snail, and then you take this intermediate wheel, which is also known as the minute wheel with minute pinion. Some people call it an intermediate wheel. And then you will take the spring off that holds the rack stop lever into place. And then you've taken everything off so far. So now you have to take these compressed E-clips off. And that's where this tool comes in handy. If you don't have this tool, you can make a tool. And I've got plenty of tools that I made. I just broke down and bought one of these tools. With these tools, you're supposed to be able to grab a hold of the E-clip and take it right off, just like that. And this one's got a spring on it, so you want to make sure that you don't lose the spring in the process. That spring has got to do with the nighttime shutoff lever. So now I can take off the rack stop lever and the lift lock lever. This is what starts your cuckoo into action. From the minute wheel with center arbor has got this this gear right here on it that has 2 tabs. One tab is higher, which is the hour, then the other tab, which is shorter, which is for the half hour. But as this rotates around, it lifts the lift lock lever. The lift lock lever, in turn, this is a lift lock lever, lifts the rack stop lever, which is this. So, lift lock lever, rack stop lever. Lift lock lever, rack stop lever. This piece right here lifts the lift lock lever, depending on whether it's the hour or the half hour. And this is what starts the cuckoo into action. And we'll talk about the stuff more as I put it back together. Now, this is the 8-point star wheel right here. And luckily, it has a screw in it, and so it'll be easy to take off. The ones that don't have a screw in it, you need to come up with a small pair of levers that you can fit underneath this wheel, the 8-point star lever, and slowly have a lever on one side and a lever on the other side. If it takes 2 pairs of small screwdrivers, it will do it. You just have to put a drop of oil on, wait, and slowly lift these levers up. 8-point star wheel. That's what makes your hammer and your cuckoo levers function. So now, I don't typically take off the hammer and the other levers. So now I'm going to take off the other 3 nuts. And if I can find my nut driver, what did I do with it? Put it back in the box. I like using a nut driver. Using a pair of pliers will round out the nuts if you're not careful. And use a magnetic tool if you have to watch to make sure that you don't take a piece of metal away on your tool. One of my E-clips was stuck on this tool. Now I'm going to go ahead and put the legs on. That way when I take this plate off, y'all can see exactly what all the wheels look like. You should be taking pictures as you go along if you've never done this before. Even if you've done it before, pictures are your friends. If you don't have a very good memory, you can always refer to your pictures. I don't have a very good memory. However, I've taken these clocks apart and put them back together several times that I can do it without pictures, but pictures are your friends. So use pictures. Take pictures. And if you don't have these legs, you can use a bowl. You know, I've got plenty of videos out there where I'm using this piece of plumbing pipe. You can set it up inside the pipe and you don't have to use the legs, but I have these legs now, so my parts are everything's coming apart. So I'm going to take it all off, and then put it all back together so y'all can see where the wheels go. So stand by. You want to take a picture going straight up and down, just like this. That way you can see where all the wheels go. This is a strike train, and this is the time train. Then you also want to take pictures from each side, because that way you can see where all the parts go. Taking a picture straight up and down will not show you, let me get my pointer, will not show you this lever right here. This is a cuckoo shutoff lever. It will not show you how this cuckoo shutoff lever goes. And again, we're going to talk all about this stuff when I go to put it back together. But make sure you take pictures all around each side and straight up and down. Pictures are your friend. Birch and crutch assembly. The escapement wheel. First wheel, second wheel, third wheel. Fourth wheel being the escapement wheel. Third wheel. Second wheel. On an 8-day cuckoo clock, the second wheel has got this plastic wheel on it. On a 1-day cuckoo clock, the great wheel has got this plastic wheel on it. You want to inspect this wheel to make sure it's not cracked. If it is cracked, your clock could tick all day long and the hands will never move. And then the time side great wheel. This plastic wheel, on an 8-day clock, you have this extra wheel, this extra gear, and that's what that plastic wheel lines up with. You see that? If that plastic wheel is cracked, it will not, it could not, it may not cause this wheel to turn, which in turn will cause the minute wheel with center arbor to turn, so which in turn will not allow the cuckoo to work. So your clock could tick all day long, but if this plastic wheel is cracked, it might not be, the hands might not be moving. If this plastic wheel is cracked, same thing. Your hands might not be moving. Or if it's not lined up correctly with this wheel here. Again, I'm going to put this back together here so you can see it all. This wheel spins, which makes this wheel spin, which makes this wheel spin. If this wheel, plastic wheel, is not lined up properly, then as this rotates, that wheel will not move. So it all has to be lined up properly, and it all has to not be broken. That was the time side. This is what the time side consists of. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 parts. This is the strike side. You have the governor fan. You have the what would be known as the fourth wheel with warning pen. There's the warning pen. On a 1-day cuckoo clock, it's known as the third wheel with warning pen. And then you have this piece right here. And stand by, and I'm going to tell you what the name of that piece is. 2-arm bell crank and arbor. This is what helps the cuckoo stop. And then you have this third wheel here, which has got the Pac-Man on the other side. Great wheel. And the second wheel on the 8-day clock is what has the 8-point star wheel. This wheel right here. And then you got this, the cuckoo shut-off lever. Sorry, it's called the cuckoo bird rod locking lever. This lever right here. And it has an E-clip on it. And so you take the E-clip off, and then you can take this off. But you need to pay attention to how this thing went on. It goes underneath the third wheel that has the Pac-Man on it. And then I'm going to undo the cuckoo bird, and then I'm going to put all these parts in my ultrasonic cleaner. I hope y'all are liking this video so far. Please give me a thumbs up. Please leave me some comments, and we'll come back. Now, the parts are out of the cleaner, but with an ultrasonic cleaner, it doesn't get the hard-to-reach spots. So you still have to take a toothpick to all the pivot holes. Here, I have a toothpick and a drill, and I don't have to work as hard. Just go through every hole, both front, turn it around, do the rear, every hole. I don't care what it is, except for maybe where the nuts go. You don't need to do those. And then turn it around and do the holes all over again. And believe it or not, this toothpick was nice and clean. But now look at it. It was a brand new toothpick. The drill saves a lot of wear and tear on your hand. And then grab the other plate. And if you want, toothpicks are cheap. Go to the other side. But anyway, I'm going to finish cleaning up these holes, and I will get right back to you. And while you have your toothpick cleaning up parts, make sure that you clean up anything that has a hole. The rack, a lot of times it doesn't want to ball. You clean up that hole, and it will ball. The cuckoo bird rod locking lever, a lot of times your clock doesn't want to shut up. You clean up this hole, and it will ball. Allowing your clock to shut up. And if I was to get out my magnifier, my scope, you'll see that this is really clean. There with the part in the microscope, you should be able to see that it's really clean. There shouldn't be anything stopping this from dropping like it's supposed to. Your like I said, anything that has a hole, while you have a toothpick out, clean it up. Now, and if you want, you can grab a bigger toothpick, such as a pair of chopsticks. If you go out to eat, grab chopsticks. If you go to Chinese restaurants, you could buy them at the you could get skewers at the dollar store, and they work really well too. Make things easy on you. Just get in the habit of cleaning all these parts up. And that way you don't have issues later on. Now this has got a hole, but it also has a screw, so you don't need to clean it up. Unless you had trouble taking it off, and then it wouldn't hurt to clean it up a little bit. Being it's an 8-day cuckoo clock, the ratchet wheels, as you can see, are the same. So you want to make sure that they are ratcheting properly, and you want to make sure that you put a drop of oil in there before you're done. But because it's an 8-day cuckoo clock, I've always told you that 1-day cuckoo clocks, the holes are very lenient on bushing wear, but 8-day cuckoo clocks, they're not. So grab each wheel and put it on the plate. You can put it all back together if you want. Again, make sure that the plastic wheel on the second wheel is good. And you want to polish up the pivots for the each wheel on the strike side, which I haven't done yet, but I just want to show you what the next step is going to be here. Make sure I get the right wheels. Put the plates together. Lining up the wheels. And you want to check for pivot wear. back and forth pivot wear. The third wheel looks to be worn. I may have to put a pivot in there. Okay, but I always like doing the tilt test. That might be tilting too much, but I'm going to have to put this all back together and look under a microscope and look for wear. Putting the great wheel on allows you to put everything together, and it'll be nice and tight. So I'm gonna again put this together. Stand by. I'm pretty sure I discovered the issue. There's no end shake. There's barely end shake on that wheel, but on some of these wheels, there's no end shake. Escapement wheel, there's no end shake. End shake again is back plate to rear plate. Here's a regular 34 8-day movement, and look how much end shake there is. Second wheel, you see that? Third wheel, escapement wheel. So once I clear up the end shake, great wheel, once I clear up the end shake on this movement, we should be fine. Don't know why you don't have end shake, but I'll fix it. This tool right here is after you put bushings in, you remount the hole just a little bit to take care of any burrs. So that's what I'm going to do to every one of these holes on the time side. Just a little bit, just to take out any burrs. And then I'll put it back together and then look for end shake. Now we have end shake. Like I said, this clock ran. I've had it for a few years. It ran. It's just that whenever you wind it, sometimes it would quit running. And I always thought that it was a bushing that was bad. But looking at the bushings up close, I don't think they're that bad. I think it was the fact that for some reason it didn't have that much end shake, and a clock has to have end shake in order to work. The third and escapement wheel have got plenty of end shake. The great wheel has plenty of end shake. The second wheel, I'm not extremely happy with it, so I'm going to just do a little bit more touch up with that tool to make sure it has good enough end shake. And I'm going to polish up all these wheels using my Dremel and an Arkansas stone. And if my Dremel doesn't work, I will put the wheel in my drill and do it that way in an Arkansas stone. Again, I use an Arkansas stone. It's not coarse. It will not bother nails. It's smooth as paper, smooth as a baby's butt. It doesn't change the diameter of your pivot. As you can see, this mark right here it's the same width as the pivot. And that's what you're looking for. It's just my drill is so much easier to use than my rotary tool. That's why I use it a lot. it's doing is shining up the pivot. It's taking the excess dirt and grease and what have you off. Oil, dried up oil. It's not doing anything. It's not changing the diameter of the pivot. Now, Dr. Lloyd's book shows that you use, and I don't have his book, I'm just going by what people have told me. It shows that you use a popsicle stick and coarse sandpaper, or smooth sandpaper. Sandpaper, no matter what kind of sandpaper you have, will take away, if you use it long enough, will take away the diameter of your pivot. So I wouldn't suggest using that. Bruce Rasmussen's, and you can buy this DVD today off of eBay, for which, I forget which clock parts house has it, but they sell General Clock Repair DVD with Bruce Rasmussen, which is how I learned a lot of my clock repair stuff with. And he chose to use a Arkansas stone to polish up pivots, a red stone to, after you replace the pivot and you want to burnish, if I'm saying that right. Anyway, Arkansas stone to polish up pivots. And if your drill will not close all the way to catch the very small pivots, you might want to try to find one of these things. This will close all the way. Okay, but if you have a rotary tool, you can buy kits like this, and they have different collets in them. And this collet will close more than what this collet will close. And so I'm only doing this to show you what you can do. You have to find a collet that will close pretty tight, and I chose the wrong collet. So let me get a different collet out. And there, this fits in. And you want to turn your rotary drill on, but you want to turn it on so it's really slow. This is that extra wheel that connects to the plastic wheel that fits right here, that also lines up with the second wheel. But anyway, you want to turn your drill rotary tool on real slow, and that's where I use my fingers to slow it down, because you don't want this thing falling across the room. And then that side's done. Already got that side because that bit in the drill. But for like this wheel here, which is the second wheel, this won't fit in the drill. So that's where the rotary tool is, or that's where you have to have one of these. In actuality, you want a lathe, or you want to spend $3,000 or $4,000 on a tool, and its only job is to polish pivots. I'm not going to spend that kind of money to polish pivots for my clocks. If I did this for a living, yeah. That side's done. Time to flip it around. And if you can't do it, if you can't do these small wheels, it's, as just Mike would say, it's not going to be a heart attack, okay? Skip it. More than likely, the only wheels that really need polished are the escapement wheel and the wheel next to the escapement wheel. But, because I'm here, I'm doing them all, just to show y'all what to do. So all the wheels on the time side have been polished. So I don't need to... the strike side was working just fine. I don't need to polish. And to this day, and again, I haven't seen everything. To this day, I have never polished a wheel on the strike side. I'm not saying that you shouldn't do it. I'm just saying that I don't do it. I just only do what I think I need to do. Other people go and polish every wheel there is. If you're doing this for a living, yeah, you should, because you don't want a customer to come back complaining because their clock isn't working properly. The plates look really good. Okay, however, because I bought this mag aluminum polish, I'm going to see if I can make them look any better. This is before the mag and aluminum polish. It's the reverse side of this plate that I just did. And this is after the mag and aluminum polish. Can you tell the difference? I need to wipe it down some more, and then I'm going to put some Renaissance wax. That way my fingerprints don't show up on it. But big difference. And that side only took me 2 or 3 minutes. Do I want to do the entire movement? Not really. I was just experimenting to see what it looked like. Can you see the difference? Okay. There's a lot of people who don't believe me, so I'll go ahead and do the back side of this. So this is what it looks like now. And that's what it'll look like afterwards. But after I'm all done, I'm going to have to take the toothpick to every one of those holes again so I don't leave any residue inside. Okay, bottom half I did. Top half I haven't done yet. And you should be able to see the big difference. Again, there wasn't nothing wrong with this movement in the first place. It was nice and shiny. But this mag and aluminum polish, thanks to my friend Robert, made it look even better. And I did both the backside and the inside on this, and I put some Renaissance wax on it, so when I touch it, my fingerprints don't show up. It's supposed to dry to extremely hard surface. Now, it is best before you start putting the movement back together that you separate all your parts. Time side. It don't matter which ratchet wheel. Time side. Escapement wheel. Time side. This intermediate wheel. Time side. This being the third wheel. Time side. And of course the crutch assembly, virgin crutch assembly, goes on the time side. This being the second wheel, it's the wheel that the star wheel fits on for the strike side. Fourth wheel with warning pin, strike side. This 2-arm bell crank, whatever it's called, strike side. And the cuckoo bird rod locking lever, strike side. Okay, and it has to go on right now. Remember, we cleaned it and it goes to where it's underneath the this wheel right here. So now I have to put a clip on, but before I put a clip on, you just want to make sure that it falls freely. So now I put a clip on. Maybe I could do that on camera. There. Okay, now this cuckoo post, it has to go in like so, because this 2-arm bell crank, when it goes on, it's going to be stopping that cuckoo from coming out. So it goes just like that. So you grab the second wheel, work on the strike side first, and then again the great wheels need to have a dab of oil on them. And it's a good time right now to put a dab of oil. Those toothpicks that you've been using to clean everything out, break an end off and use that as your oiler. Dip it in the oil, dip it onto the part that you want to oil. And if you think you got too much oil, wipe it off. I don't think I have too much oil on this. I'm running it around to make sure it's working properly. And I'm going to go ahead and oil the great wheel on the time side while I'm here. And at first, when I turn these wheels, they were hard to turn. But after adding a little bit of oil, they're easier to turn. And that's what you want. You don't want to break your chain apart trying to wind up your clock. And if it's still too hard to turn, that's what this 3-prong compression clip is for. You can take some pressure off of it, and it will make it real easy to turn. And there, it's extremely easy to turn. But if it gets too easy to turn, you want to bend these things to put more pressure on this. I'm okay with that. And I don't want to spill oil all over the place, so I will pour my oil back in my container. I've had this container for 25 years. To me, it kind of looks like a specimen bottle that you got to pee in. I don't know. But anyway, let's get back to putting this movement together. So, great wheel, strike side. And then the 4th wheel with warning pin. It has to go. That's why this 2-arm bell crank has got a curve on it. That way it can go over the top of this 4th wheel. I have to put this 2-arm bell crank back on. I put the 4th wheel on. Doing this over the camera is the hardest part for me. The 2-arm bell crank came out of its position where I had it. And then the fly. You want to make sure that the fly, the governor pin, is not too tight and not too loose. You should be able to hold this thing and flick it. When you flick it, it spins around and round and round and round. You take this thing off of the shaft, and the center piece here is what you press on or press away to either tighten or to loosen up this governor pin. Now, some of them are built differently, so for the most part, they're adjustable. And you want to be able to flick it, and it spins 1/8 of a turn, 1/4 of a turn. It needs to be able to spin some. It can't be too tight. Now let's work on the time side. Again, this plastic wheel here has to line up with the plastic wheel, the minute wheel with center arbor, and this wheel here has to do the same thing. This plastic wheel lines up with the extra wheel, which lines up with the minute wheel with center arbor. And then the great wheel goes on. And I have another video that talks about wheels versus pinion gears. A wheel, which is this part right here, matches up with the pinion gear, which is this part right here. And so, again, I have another video that talks about all that. Time side, third wheel. Time side, escapement wheel. And then time side, virgin crutch assembly. And I took a Dremel to the pallets and to the pivots to clean them up. And then the rear plate. But before I put the rear plate on, because I didn't take the hammer off, I have to put the high note and the low note lift levers on. The high note lever is always the longer lever. The low note lift lever is a shorter lever. And I was supposed to put the low note lift lever on first. Now carefully adding the rear plate to the movement. The object is to start every nut. And so once you can start every nut, you are home free. The second wheel on the strike side has to go on first. Taking the hammer and the levers off help in putting everything back together, but it can be done without taking them off. I'm going to go ahead and leave the virgin crutch assembly off for right now. There, I got the second wheel started, and I can see I can put a nut on. Sorry about that. I can put a nut on here, so I don't want to tighten it down. I just want to start it. The low note and high note lift levers is part of the issue right here. Again, if you were to take them off and put them on last, it makes things easier, but again, it can be done by not taking them off. I'm doing this with a camera in front of my face, and the hammer is in the wrong position. I'm going to go ahead and take the hammer off. I normally don't. The second wheel came off where it wasn't supposed to come off. The 2-arm bell crank got out of the way. But the hammers is in the wrong position. And I'll show you why. This arm right here is supposed to be down, because that's what I'm sorry, long day. This arm is exactly where it's supposed to be. I just got these arms in the wrong position. I meant to show you this a while ago, and I got distracted. That's the problem when you get my age, you get distracted easily. This little wire is what prevents this lever from coming back up. This middle wire is what hits the 8-point star wheel. So let's try this again. Again, the object is to get a nut started. I'm putting a little bit of pressure on the system to put the wheels on. I'm trying to do this on camera. I might not be able to. Light came off. I'm going to put this thing together off camera. I can't. I'm sorry. The camera's in my way, and I'm getting blind. Movement is together. Do a slight function test on the time side. The pendulum virgin crutch assembly rock back and forth really smooth. The wheels are in place on the strike side, and now it's time to oil the movement before I put everything else on. You might be asking, why do you nip or cut a piece of the toothpick off? Well, here I didn't cut a piece of the toothpick off. You see where the oil is? It's not at the very bottom. And so when you touch the plate, the oil remains where it's at. So if you cut a piece at the very end of the toothpick off, and when you grab a piece of oil, it will go where you want it to go. Now you can buy expensive oilers, and all they are. Now Just Micah's got a really nice oiler. You squeeze it out, and then you squeeze it. You squeeze the excess oil back into the tube. But most oilers are a handle with a wire on it, and the very end of the wire is a flat piece of wire. The toothpick does the exact same thing. If I was to get a piece of wire out, and I'm going to do that for you right now, a round piece of wire, and I flatten the very end of that round piece of wire. That's exactly what an oiler is. If you look close enough, except for the oiler would have a handle on it. And you could take this flat piece of wire and do the same thing that I'm doing with this toothpick. But toothpicks are cheap. You already have them because you cleaned out your pivot holes. And don't forget to oil the burge assembly, the pallets. Your clock will run a lot smoother when you oil the pallets. That's this part right here on both sides. And then make it go around at least one complete revolution, the escapement wheel. And that way the oil disseminates where it needs to be on the escapement wheel. So the next thing we need to do, I already put on the 8-point star wheel, is put on the flip-lock lever and the rack stop lever. Remember, flip-lock lever is what starts everything in motion by coming off one of the 2 pins on the minute wheel with center arbor. And put that on. And it takes the spring and a clip, which I need to get out my special tool to put the clip on. I bought it, I might as well use it. The clip seemed to be not holding. Now the spring came off. I'm trying to do things on camera. Again, the clip doesn't seem right. I'm going to squeeze it, probably end up breaking it. It amazes me the things that go wrong while working on these clocks. Maybe that will work. No, the clip is still loose. I'm going to take it off and find the other clip, and maybe this clip will work better on the rack stop lever. Again, everything always goes wrong when you turn on the camera. Why? I have no idea. Huh, that one's loose too. What the heck is going on here? They might be worn out. I've got new ones, but I don't want to get them out. I'm going to put this clip on. I'll be right back. I got that clip on, and I got this clip on for the rack stop lever. Now I need to put the spring on for the rack stop lever. The rack stop lever is what stops the rack, and it needs a spring to help push it down for certain hours. As you can see, it's falling. And so now, with the rack stop lever on, I could do a function test, except for I got to get this out of the way of the governor fan. everything's in the way. All these legs are in the way. You can see it's not stopping as it's supposed to. The third wheel warning pin has to hit this tab right here that's on this rack stop lever. When the third wheel warning pin hits that tab, the clock will stop cuckooing, except for I want my pin directly in this Pac-Man's mouth, and it's not. And so I'm going to put it there. So putting my fingers down into the movement so the wheels don't turn. Currently, the third wheel warning, the fourth wheel warning pin is right there on the tab itself. Okay, but the Pac-Man is not where I want it. So I'm going to, again, hold these gears with my fingers and rotate this Pac-Man some. It is compression fit on there, so it will go where you want it to go. So now I'm going to do another function test. So now you can see the third wheel warning pin is the third wheel warning pin is hitting this tab, and this pin right here is directly into what I call the Pac-Man's mouth. I know it's not called a Pac-Man, it's called a gathering cam with gathering pin. Gathering cam with gathering pin. But it looks like a Pac-Man. It's a lot easier to remember Pac-Man, so that's what I call it. So anyway, it's right where I want it, and so now I can put the other levers on, which is this intermediate wheel, the rack, and the snail. So, but I want it to just got through cuckooing on the hour. Remember, I told you that there are two tabs on this minute wheel with minute pinion. There's a short tap for the half hour and a long tap for the hour. So I want it to where it just got through cuckooing the hour. So there, it stopped. And the reason I did that is because when I put the rack on, I want it so it just struck the 12. And so that right there is the 12 o'clock position, but I don't like where it's at. So I'm going to pick up the snail and move it one tooth, and then put the rack back on and see what it looks like. I like that spot better. But actually I don't. I want it to, because right now it's in the middle, and it might strike 12 twice. So I want to move the snail over one tooth to the left. I still don't like where it's at. I'm going to move the snail over some more. Maybe there. But we're going to do a function test. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We'll do it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Here comes the half hour. And here comes the hour. Now the tail of the rack is on top of the 1 o'clock position. Half hour. Hour. You see the gathering pin, you want to make sure that it's away from the teeth a little bit. And so it's going to have pressure on it from the chain, and so from the weight, and so it is away from the teeth a little bit. And so as I rotate this, there's a half hour, here comes the hour, and it's going to be in the 3 o'clock position. But you see how it's not, you see how this tab right here is not directly into the teeth? It should be in the teeth, like, let me put it into one of the teeth, like that. Okay, but it's not. It is now, but you want to make sure that it's in the teeth on every hour. And if it's not in the teeth, it's got to do with this tab right here. The tab might be twisted. I'm gonna twist it some to show you what I'm talking about. You see how this is not in the teeth now? And the reason why it's not in the teeth is because I twisted this tail on the rack. And so it might be in the tooth on like the lower numbers, but when you get up to the higher numbers, it might not be in the teeth. So what I'm getting at is make sure that this tail is twisted just right so it's in the teeth. That's one of the things that you have to look at when you're doing your function test. I'm not worried about the half hour. I'm worried about the hour. See, it's in the lever is in the teeth on the rack, and that's what I'm looking at. Because again, if it's not in the teeth, it might cuckoo 13 times or 14 times when it gets to the higher numbers. And you ask, how does it bend? I'm going to explain that to you. I want to, this is the 12 o'clock position. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Half hour. Now I want to make sure that this gets on the 1 o'clock, because if not, I'm going to have to rotate this all back around, because I wasn't paying attention. And I think I'm going to have to move the snail. The half hour, and this is the hour. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Now watch this. Dot mark. You see, it's in the teeth correctly. Again, if it wasn't in the teeth correctly on the 12, 11, it could actually catch barely and skip. Instead of raising up, it will skip as it cuckoos. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Now I got to pay attention this time. That's the half hour, and this is the hour. It's catching the one. So anyway, how does it get bent to where it cuckoos 13 times? I'm going to explain that to you. It's on the 12 o'clock position. It's cuckooing, all right? As it is cuckooing, if somebody turns the hand backwards, it puts a bind. Well, I take that back. When it goes into warning, it hasn't dropped yet. I need to rotate it so it goes into warning. Doggone it. That right there, it's in warning. Okay, you see how the rack is, rack stop lever is up in the air. It's in warning. And then or even if it's cuckooing, if somebody turns the hand backwards, it bends the tab that's on the lift lock lever. And it can, because it's putting pressure on things, it can bend this tab right here. And, people can argue with me all day long on it, saying I don't know what the heck I'm talking about. But I will tell you that I have people that ask me all the time, why does my clock cuckoo 13 times? How do I fix it? And I tell them how to fix it, and I tell them what happens. A regular movement was designed to be turned, for the hands to be turned backwards. I'm not denying that. But it wasn't designed for the hands to be turned backwards when the clock goes into warning, when the music is going off, when the clock is cuckooing. It's as long as you turn it backwards at certain times, you can turn a hand backwards, but not during those time frames. When it's in warning, when it's cuckooing, or when the music is playing, do not turn a hand backwards. Just get in the habit of turning a hand clockwise, and you will be fine. So, anyway, the function test worked fine. And this lever is falling directly into the teeth. That's what I want. And if it's not falling directly into the teeth, it means you need to adjust this lever right here that falls onto the snail, so it goes directly into the teeth. So now I need to put the E-clips, the washer, and the E-clip on. So I'll get back to you.